Hey there, hi there, hello world, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ellie and today's video is a follow-up video, the promised deck comparison for the Moonchild Tarot Shadow Work Edition and the Moonchild Tarot, let's just call this Moonlight Edition. This is the original one. So again, it's just going to be a quick and simple video comparing the deck itself. That way we kind of get a feel for the different vibrations for each deck, because they are very similar, but at the same time very different. The Shadow Work Edition has some reworked art, and that gives it a completely different feel. However, it is described to be a Twilight Mirror companion to the original Moonchild Tarot. So very interesting. I'm excited to share this with you all. And before we begin, I'd humbly like to extend an invitation to you. If you are not yet subscribed, hit subscribe and follow this channel. Within the next coming months, there are some Kickstarter projects that I have backed that should be coming in. So hopefully once those come in, I get to film and share those videos with you all here as well. So again, hit subscribe to stay tuned for when those videos do appear on this channel. So getting into the flip through, we're going to go ahead and clear the table and start. I will have the Moonchild Tarot Moonlight Edition on this side and the Shadow Work on this side. So let's go ahead and flip it up. All right, so I've got my camera zoomed in a little bit, and we will go ahead and get started with flipping through the original Moonchild Tarot Moonlight Edition, and this is the Moonchild Tarot Shadow Work Edition. So let's go ahead and start with the Major Arcana, and here we have, of course, the Fool card. So looking at it right here, right off the bat, we've got a mirror image, which makes sense. This is a Twilight Mirror companion to the original deck. That's as described on the website, which is perfect. I think it really fits it. So yeah, the colors are a little bit more, I think they're a little more foggy, more muted on this card in particular. So that's one major difference I can spot. Anything else you'd like to point out? Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. I will take a peek there and see what else I may have missed. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on through. The Magician. Oh, big difference here. So the reworked card art now features a more feminine figure who is, it looks like an Egyptian figure, a goddess, as compared to the person here who is a more masculine figure, demonstrating the tools of the magician. So a little bit of a difference there. Big difference. Big difference. All right, next we have the High Priestess, which another card that had the card art updated. I really love this version of the High Priestess, but I think this one is definitely more along the more mysterious and the more like inner kind of representation of the High Priestess. So very interesting choice of updated art. I love it. Very cool. And here we have the Empress. Beautiful. Okay, so we went from a more like natural foresty feel. This is giving me like the triple goddess vibes with the three feminine figures here. And then we have the Empress on this card, who is very much in bloom. It's all about like the energy of fertility and just creativity. So definitely see how this card update just really fits more in with that more traditional archetype that we see on the card, the more, I guess, the imagery. But still very beautiful. Both cards have absolutely gorgeous art, no matter how you look at it. All right, so the Emperor card. Oh, this is cool. Okay, this Emperor feels a little more, more introverted, more introspective. That's the word I was looking for. More introspective. Whereas this one definitely channels that stability and hard ruling figure kind of energy. So very cool update. I like that. All right, so for the Hierophant here, we have pretty much the same. Again, this deck has a little bit more muted colors. It's a little bit darker. Makes sense since it's the Shadow Edition, but yeah, pretty much the same Hierophant here. The Lover's card. It looks like the Lover's card also got a little bit of a color update. So now these colors are a little bit darker, and this one still has that a little bit more vivid kind of color. Beautiful. of course, my birth card, the Chariot. So the Chariot also remains pretty similar. Again, the colors. I'll stop pointing that out since you kind of get the gist of it. But yeah, very much a similar, same card. Ooh, now here's a big change up. We have the Strength card, which now has this figure who is on this card more reclining on the lion figure. And this one is more, I don't know, I feel like she's more in her power in this one, kind of almost like commanding that energy of the lion here. So very cool. I love how the moon pops up on this card. Beautiful update. The Hermit. Both of these are my favorite Hermit cards, but I'm really loving this new take on the Hermit here. This card, although it is the Shadow Edition or Shadow Work Edition deck, feels very bright, very vivid, almost like when you're exploring your inner workings, your inner mind, that light that really just kind of radiates when you have made that connection with yourself. And this one feels very much like the loneliness aspect of it, where you're just kind of in solitude and wandering in your own kind of machinations of your thoughts and your feelings. Very interesting. I love this choice here. I love anything that's iridescent and shiny. Easily distracted. Okay, here we go. Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune is pretty similar. The one big difference I can spot here, though, is this appears to be, of course, more reminiscent of day with that almost sunlight figure kind of radiating off of that. And this one here is more of the moonlight, nighttime. We see stars in the sky here, and it's, of course, a darker toned color. So yeah, very pretty. I love the update. The Justice card. All right, looks like the Justice card remains pretty much the same, just a little bit darker tone here. Lovely card. The Hanged Man. Hanged Man remains pretty much the same, darker colors. Very cool. Ooh, the Death card. Oh, okay. I'm not seeing very many differences, which is fine. I actually really love this Death card amongst all my decks. I really feel like this one's just a very beautiful interpretation of the Death card, so pretty cool. Don't mind that it didn't change. Temperance. All right, so here's one where we have a bit of a difference. We have the Temperance card here, very reminiscent of the traditional Waite-Smith imagery, and this one here feels a lot more like that inner kind of component of Temperance where you're finding balance within. So yeah, the Shadow Work Edition, of course, just feels more like when you're going within, when you're looking within. So a lot of it, I feel like, as of right now, it's very much about the solitude of the figures in this deck as compared to these. This one feels a little bit more solitary, which I guess makes sense, right? Let me know if you think differently. I'd love to hear. All right, so next we have the Devil card. And very interesting here, we have the Devil card of the original version, and then we have the Dark Veil of the Shadow Work version, which I think is actually really interesting. I love this take on the Devil card. Since the Devil is about ego, it is about our, if you want to call it, shadow selves. It's the part of us that we just kind of lean onto out of fear. And you know, maybe it's for the best that we try to break out of that, but very much feels like this dark veil is that veil over our eyes when we fail to see that the things that are holding us back, we have the power to break out of it, but we're just kind of, you know, putting that veil over our eyes. So very interesting choice to rename. I love it. I think this card is very beautiful, very moody. I like it. All right, so the Tower. Again, the color is a little bit different. Not too much of a difference I can spot here. Let me know if you see anything else. Oh, this one appears to be more zoomed out. Yeah, a little bit more. We see more of the water in this one. So the Star card, a beautiful, beautiful card. Both decks depict it pretty much the same way, although I feel like this one we're a little bit closer to the star here. As you can see, the pillars reach the top. Not quite on this one. Very cool. All right, here we have the moon. Very similar. Yes, yeah, I think it's pretty much the same card, same art. Still absolutely beautiful. The moon is always one of my favorite cards in any tarot deck, so gorgeous. All right, here we have the sun. And pretty noticeable here, we've got now a face of a figure here in the sun radiating light. The muted colors, yeah, pretty much same card, just gave it a little bit of personality here with the sun. Very cool. Now here we have the Judgment card, which has had a shakeup. So the Judgment card here in the original deck features the Egyptian figure. I believe this is, oh, I need to brush up on my Egyptian mythology, but I believe this is the god who judges when you go into the underworld. They weigh your heart against a feather. Oh, I'm forgetting. Okay, I'm angry at myself for that, but you know what I mean. So the imagery has been updated here in the Judgment card for the Shadow Work edition, and this is very beautiful. I feel like it's like a mirror image. This figure here is kind of looking at themselves and just kind of contemplative. It feels very contemplative. Again, that Judgment energy of the awakening and just kind of realizing the energy of who you were before compared to who you are now, and just really kind of meeting in the middle to see where those lines cross and where things could benefit you, where you could benefit from change. I don't know, that's what the Judgment means to me. Okay, so now we come to the Universe card in this deck. The Universe, traditionally the world, but of course the cards are drastically different. I feel like for the better though. The Universe here in the original deck is very bright, very colorful. The figure is holding bright, almost looks like a moon, maybe a pearl, I don't know, in their hands, and just looking out into the expanse. Here we have a very similar feeling to it, but it's more of a moody, dark kind of course, shadowy aspect to it. And the moon is here up in the sky with all these clouds kind of surrounding this person on the precipice of consciousness. I don't know. Just kind of going off of what I'm getting from the cards. But yeah, very, very beautiful take on the Universe card. I really love, I'm really starting to lean more towards the Shadow Work edition. I guess it's just, I love it so much. All right, so there we have the major arcana. Let's go ahead and move into the minors. All right, here we will begin with the Suit of Cups. I am very biased towards the Suit of Cups, so they're usually first when I can pull them up first, but here we go. So the original version here, we have a very beautiful, bold, brightly colored Ace of Cups. And here in the Shadow Work edition, we have a little bit more, again, of that shadowy, kind of mysterious aspect, kind of feel to the Ace of Cups. However, it is still full, overflowing with these beautiful flowers blossoming. There is this kind of shape of a snake in the background, and just kind of like this pair of eyes that are kind of gazing at you from the background here. Looks very cosmic. I love it. Looks really cool. Let's flip it this way. Okay, so next we have the Two of Cups. Very different. Very, very different. I feel like this one, much more vivid, colorful, but this one does really feel like being in water, in emotion. The two, of course, being partnerships, usually romantic, but I feel for me, usually the two is really about the relationships and partnerships that we establish both within and outside of ourselves, and just really coming to the middle of those two and really meeting in the middle to support and to move forward with love and encouragement. So yeah, this is a very neat, the figure here is nude, so I feel like it's really about just that core feeling of being absolutely honest and transparent with that Two of Cups energy there. So interesting. All right, here we have the Three of Cups. Oh, that's a cauldron. Okay, so very different art here compared to the original version, which is very, of course, bright. Almost feels Lemurian. I don't know if that makes any sense. Lemurian beaches, a lot of like bright pastels. I really love that color, but this is very, very hypnotizing. This feels like something coming out of the cauldron here to culminate. Maybe collaboration, of course, trying to get something. I don't know where I'm going with this. Yeah, trying to get something going here all together. Kind of like when witches in a coven get together and, you know, do their spells or their rituals, right? That's kind of what I'm getting from this card here. Very beautiful. I love it. Four of Cups. Very interesting. This has pretty much the same imagery from what I can tell. Yeah, just a little bit darker, but overall, same card. Same beautiful card. I really like this card too. Five of Cups. All right, so we're moving in a little bit of a different direction here. So this one feels more of a desert dreamscape. I think this is more of the Egyptian kind of feel or ancient kind of architecture, whereas this is more about the inner workings of Five of Cups, right? When we feel cold and desolate and left out, focusing on things that no longer serve us, when there are things that we could be focusing on that would help bring us back to full cups. But yeah, very interesting choice to switch up that Five of Cups there. I love it. Six of Cups is very different. We have this almost like they should be switched, I think. Well, this color is not as vivid, but it's that kind of like shadowy muted color, but still very beautiful. For the Six of Cups, we have a statue figure here. It looks like sea life with coral and our Six of Cups. And this one's more of a retreat, I feel like. It's more serene. This beautiful architecture. Yeah, very different. Very different. I like it. Seven of Cups. Ooh, pretty much the same. A little bit muted, so we'll go ahead and move on here. Wait, are the items the same? Let's see. Yeah, it looks like all the items in the cups are still the same, so very cool. Okay. Eight of Cups. Another card that is very different. So the imagery here feels more like a cosmic scape, if that makes sense. And then this one here definitely feels into that energy of the traditional Waite-Smith imagery of the Eight of Cups and feeling like you have no choice but to move on. This is it. You've got to cut it off and move on, cut your losses. Definitely feel that from the figure here in this card. So very cool update. I love it. I'm going to say that about every card, aren't I? All right, Nine of Cups. Another very different imagery. A little bit similar, but still pretty drastic enough to where it's easy to point out. So the figure here with the Nine of Cups, and then this one here looks like a solitary figure. I'm not sure. Yeah, interesting. The solitary figure here with their Nine of Cups. So very different. I like it. Here we have the Ten of Cups. All right, the end of a cycle. Here we go. So 10 of Cups, the two figures, looks like a moonrise with rainbows coming out of it. And you have your 10 chalices here, the beautiful landscape. 10 of Cups here in the Shadow Edition. We still get a lot of that kind of joyful feeling from it. I'm feeling that rainbow coming through here, but it's also a little bit dreamy with this kind of floral in bloom, the ocean behind it. I'm definitely getting the feeling of, you know, the joy, the end of a cycle. Things are finally come to fruition and you're just overjoyed, so happy, ready for the next chapter, but you really want to linger on this one. So yeah, this is pretty cool. I like the update. Page of Cups. Our Page of Cups is very different. We have the figure here standing in what seems to be like ancient ruins. Beautiful pastel sky with the gate here, portal almost, to a night sky with the moon. And here in the Page of Cups Shadow Edition, we have a figure in the water and just this very almost vortex looking kind of energy, this space, swimming in the water towards it. So it could be the moon, I'm not sure, but still very beautiful. All right. Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups has changed. So we have here the, traditional imagery of a figure on a horse. And then here we have just the figure themselves. And it looks like they are kind of in a mystical landscape walking into water. Looks like I see like a mermaid's tail here, so that's really interesting. Very cool. They are holding a sword, so that's an interesting choice to place into the imagery for the Knight of Cups. But again, knights do have swords, so I shouldn't be that baffled. Very pretty. Love that a lot. Okay. Moving into the Queen here, we have pretty much the same imagery. Again, it's just mirrored, it's flipped. And I don't think anything much else has changed. The color is just a little bit muted, darker. So still our Queen here. Same with the King. It looks like they have flipped the King over to face the other side. That seemed pretty much. There's a little bit more floral imagery here. And that seems to be about it. Let me know if you spot anything else. But that is the Suit of Cups. All right, moving on into the Pentacles here, the Suit of Pentacles. The Ace of Pentacles appears to be pretty similar to the original card. I noticed that this hand here is holding a sun-shaped piece. I'm not sure if that's how you describe it, but a sun-shaped piece. And this one seems to have like a little black gem in the middle. This one does not. So yeah, that's pretty much the biggest difference I spotted there. Let's move on into the rest of the cards. We have the Two of Pentacles. So the two figures here with the two little pentacle pieces and the, I think this is called the Death's Head Moth, something like that. Not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, this one has very different imagery from the Shadowwork edition. The Two of Pentacles here shows more of a blossoming kind of background. Again, earthy tones, very different from the more vivid kind of colors here. But two figures are holding what I suppose is the pentacles, and yeah, it just looks like they're kind of reaching out toward each other. I feel like it's really drawing on that balance aspect, so very interesting. I like that rework. The Three of Pentacles, very similar. I don't see anything that stands out right off the bat except for these kind of middle pieces here are a little bit different. Yeah, very nice. Beautiful. All right, we have our Four of Pentacles. Again, very similar card art. I don't think much has changed. We've got a little bit more of a shiny, kind of sparkly element here to the pentacles, but that does appear to be about it. It's a lovely card. All right, we have our Five of Pentacles. So this Five of Pentacles features a figure in the moonlight. Here are their Five Pentacles. This card here, very interesting. Five of Pentacles features a kind of like a labyrinth, very moody, mysterious, earthy kind of feel, of course. Pentacles, Suit of Earth, but with the Five Pentacles floating here above that. So very interesting. I am going to deep dive more into these later. So the Six of Pentacles here that we can see, this card features a figure sitting with their Six Pentacles surrounding them, and this card in the Shadowwork edition features a statue figure, looks like surrounded by flowers in bloom, and just more of a kind of, I don't know how to describe it, more of a like an inner expression, I guess you could say, of the Six of Pentacles energy here. All right, Seven of Pentacles. We have a different card here. We have a figure who is with their pentacles above them. Feels, again, very floral, very pink pastel kind of colors. This card definitely darkens the tone a little bit more, gives it a bit more of a mystery. Feels very much like exploring the inner workings when the Seven of Pentacles energy is kind of, you know, you're reflecting on it. So there is a figure on a boat in the water, and we can see some imagery of like nautilus shells, or I forgot what this one's called, mother of pearl? I can't remember. But yeah, very, very beautiful like shell imagery here, as well as a moon in eclipse. This looks like an eclipsed moon. So very interesting choice for the Six of Pentacles, or Seven, sorry, Seven of Pentacles here. Eight of Pentacles, a very different card as well. This one, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory when you see the two giant figures here. And Had to take a brief pause there. Okay, so I was saying the 8 of Pentacles here with the 2 statue figures. Looks like they're leading out into the desert kind of dreamscape. This one feels more like a, if I'm being honest, modern piece of art. So we have the 8 Pentacles here kind of building up into this, like almost like a face of a figure here, but it's incomplete. It's just a tiny fragment of the eye of a figure with these beautiful flowers here in bloom and the moon in the background. So very different feel. I actually really like this one a lot. So let's take a look here. 9 of Pentacles. So 9 of Pentacles, pretty similar card. I don't see any vast differences, just the colorway. So let's go ahead and move on. 10 of Pentacles, same thing. I think they're very similar. I don't see very much that's different aside from what appears to be, I don't know if the earth has opened up. there's like fog or steam or clouds coming out from here, but yeah, this one feels more mysterious, foggy kind of energy here. So the Page of Pentacles, another card where we've had a bit of a change up. So we see the same kind of pentacle figure here. However, the human figure has changed, so we have more of a zoomed out version here. There's like a little mountain in the background. The figure stands in the water, whereas in the original we have what appears to be a figure in maybe a field. Can't tell if this is earth or if this is water. Not 100% sure, but this one just does feel more like free-flowing. This one does feel a little bit more like solitude. I just feel like it's solitary. Knight of Pentacles appears to be very similar. Images switched. We see a lot of that in the court cards. Queen, pretty much the same queen. Yeah, just the image has been flipped. Colors darkened. Beautiful. And same with the King of Pentacles. So the image flipped and darkened. All right. Very nice. All right, let's start with the Ace of Wands here. We've got pretty similar imagery, just the color has been kind of darkened a bit. Interesting, so the Two of Wands has changed. Here we have, in the original deck, just a figure standing here with more of the traditional Waite-Smith imagery where there are 2 wands and the figures holding the world in their hands. So yeah, this one feels very traditional. But then we have the Two of Wands here in the Shadow Work edition, which we see just 2 kind of, I guess you could say trees, stumps. They're just kind of coming up out of the ocean here in what appears to be like a desert landscape. This feels very alien, if I'm being honest, like an alien world. All right, Three of Wands. Three of Wands here with the 2 figures looking out into the distance. The moonrise above the ocean here, and we have the 3 wands at either side. Here we have more, again, of that kind of, I feel like this deck, the best way I can describe it is very hermity vibes, because a lot of the figures are in solitude, or it's an aura of solitude, it's a feeling of solitude. So the figure here is standing in what appears to be like a cave-like environment, looking out over the ocean, and their 3 of Wands surrounds them as well. 4 of Wands. Ooh, okay, this one's a little bit different. So we have the fields here, we have kind of the mountains in the background. However, we do have the 2 figures here with the 2 wands on either side. And here we have just the 4 wands, and it is a field that is being just kind of glowed up by the moon. Does that even make sense? Yeah, so the moon is glowing onto this field and just illuminating things. So that's very beautiful imagery for the 4. All right, 5 of Wands. 5 of Wands in the original deck, we have 3 figures with the 5 on either side. It looks to be maybe the planet Jupiter back here, so, or Saturn. I see some rings here. So a very cosmic kind of vibe. Here with the 5 of Wands, I see a figure who is veiled, and it looks like they're in a kind of a chaotic environment. Makes sense for the 5. So there's a lot of energy going on back here. It looks to be some kind of plume explosion. make of it what you will, but feels very much like action. There's chaos, there's something going on. Lightning strikes across here. So very interesting. All right, Six of Wands. Six of Wands, again, very drastic difference here. We have two figures, the three wands on either side, beautiful bloom with the moonrise in the background, and two intertwined snakes. We do have the snakes reappearing here. However, there is a statue figure with the third eye here, and it appears like the background, the aura, the moon is more of a water kind of scape. So very interesting. The Six of Wands does kind of give me the sense of, how do I describe, very much being in the spotlight, I guess. Being in spot more so than this Six of Wands, right? It's Six of Wands speaks to victory, being at the forefront of attention, and just really being kind of in that energy of recognition and I don't want to say praise, but just recognition and people knowing your name. It's really about that very confident and bold energy. So let's go ahead and move into the Seven. So the Seven of Wands is very interesting. Seven of Wands here. We've got like a pyramid in the background. Again, the desert scape. The sun is being eclipsed by the moon. So very interesting. Very interesting representation there. Seven of Wands in the Shadow Work Edition. Sorry, notes out loud. Seven of Wands in the Shadow Work Edition. This is very kinetic. I feel like there's a lot of energy going on here, even though it doesn't look like there's anything really moving, but it feels like there's a lot of energy. The ocean, the water down here, and then we have what feels like electric energy. I don't know, that's what I'm getting from this, but is that the Ark of the Covenant? I'm trying to think back to my Indiana Jones knowledge here. But this kind of looks like the Ark of the Covenant, right? Is that what it's called? Gosh. Okay. Eight of Wands. Very interesting choice for the switch up here. So Eight of Wands in the original deck does feature, again, this kind of desert Egyptian landscape with the moon in the background. We have the wands here. In this deck, we have, I'm getting like Akashic records. I don't know why this makes me feel like the Hall of Records or something, but yeah, we have this beautiful high arching architecture. The wands are right here, just kind of tucked away, but everything about this feels like movement. The clouds, I can almost feel them kind of billowing out, and the moon there illuminating this beautiful space. I don't know, this feels really familiar. Okay. Nine of Wands, here we go. So another drastic change. This Nine of Wands feels very, very light, but at the same time, just very much like being within. This figure is here meditating almost, just kind of sitting in thought, sitting in their own energy. It feels, because it's like a redder color, it feels more of that like heavy energy. But then here, very interestingly enough, in the Nine of Wands in the Shadow Edition, it feels very, again, solitary, very, I don't even know how to describe this. It feels almost like hopelessness, tired. Since it is a night sky, it feels like just being here in this energy for a very long time and being very tired. Well, which, you know, it matches up with the Nine of Wands, of course, being in that energy of persevering throughout the hardship. You're almost there. Maybe this is like the light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know. I don't quite see what that figure is in the background. Not quite sure. Beautiful card nonetheless, but yeah, that is the 9. And here we have the 10 of Wands. So again, a very different card. We have the figure here with their 10 wands behind them. Desert landscape, 2 moons. Moon. Okay, and then we have 10 of Wands here, which looks like they're actually in water. So again, that heavy feeling, the 10 being just kind of that point where you are done. You are so over it. That's what that feels like for me, is just kind of trudging through it and just really trying to get through it. That eclipse again. I'm seeing a lot more eclipses in this deck than in the original version. I want to look more into that, get a feel for why. It's a beautiful choice, don't get me wrong. Okay, so Page of Wands. Page of Wands is very different. We have a figure here it's more up close. This almost looks like a ancient landscape, sort of, if that makes sense. But yeah, there's that fire element right there, holding on to that little fire. Page of Wands in the Shadowwork edition, very interesting. This figure here seems to be meditating or kind of sitting in thought, surrounded by appears to be very large wands in a desert landscape. So very cool. And then we have the Knight of Wands, very different imagery as well. We have the knight, it looks like there's another knight back there. And then we have this figure here who almost appears to be a mirror of themselves. So very beautiful. I like that. There's a lot more floral imagery, I feel like, in the Shadowwork edition, integrated with like water and earth backgrounds, desert dreamscapes type backgrounds. So really pretty. Queen of Wands, we do have a little bit of a difference here. It looks like the flowers have been changed up. She is flipped and facing the opposite direction, but still very similar. A little bit more rose kind of imagery here, whereas these feel like very bright, vivid tropical flowers. Don't know if they are, but... And here we have the King of Wands. So the king has been flipped. The colors pretty much stay the same, but I noticed that the armor for the king does seem to be more ornate in this one. This one seems to feel more earthy for some reason. Yeah, just feels a little bit different. This one feels more, again, more ornate, more like armor. All right, so that was the Suit of Wands. All right, last but certainly not least, the deck, the Suit of Swords here, which I feel like I like the swords, honestly. They're a bit heavy, but they're usually like the best cards to get when you're really in your head, because it just reminds you that you're in your head. Of course, being the suit of air, thoughts, communication, swords are a very interesting suit. So let's go ahead and get on into it. Ace of Swords here. Again, very similar imagery. The colors seem more darker on this one. Other than that, it's pretty much a very similar feel. Two of Swords. Again, very similar card. I don't see that much difference in the imagery. This is just a little bit darker. Very cool card. I like that one. The Three of Swords. Got a bit of an update here. Looks like we're a little bit more zoomed in, a little bit closer, more darker colorway. Still kind of seems like it's the same swords in there though. I mean, why change it up? Keep the swords in there. All right, Four of Swords has had an update. Here we have a figure in meditation, almost just kind of by themselves. Again, the solitude, the moonrise in the background with the four swords. Very beautiful. The Shadowwork edition does change it up a bit. We have the figure mirrored here, and there are the four swords surrounding them, so a lot of cloud thought. This one feels very gentle, which is very interesting. The Four of Swords, of course, being rest, respite, and just kind of relaxing after a lot going on, a lot of mental energy. All right, Five of Swords, very similar imagery. We have a figure here, which appears to be in the forest or some kind of very wooded area. I think that's a skull. I don't know why. I just sit here and question myself. I question myself a lot, so we'll get used to that. Five of Swords in the Shadowwork edition. We have the five swords here surrounding the figure who, as we can see, is just now facing more towards us. But again, still in that kind of woodsy area. There are a bit more flowers in bloom here, so very interesting update. Very pretty card. Six of Swords has been updated. So we have here a figure holding up their sword, and oh, there's the sixth one. I was thinking, why are there only five? I forgot it's right here. So yeah, we have the figure holding up their sword as well as the surrounding five swords. Appears to be Stonehenge in the background. There's water. Very interesting. marble patterned here. Now, the Six of Swords in the Shadow Work edition does feature more of a, again, it feels like an Akashic Records or a Hall of Records, something. I'm getting a lot of like Hall of Records kind of feeling from this, but looking out into the ocean, it's a gateway into the ocean. So kind of moving, of course, the Six of Swords, moving past this heaviness into clearer waters, getting out of this cavernous, almost suffocating feeling and getting out into the open. So very interesting update. I love it. Seven of Swords, very similar card. Again, it's just the colors that have really changed, but we have also a twist in the background here. So instead of this very beautiful, vibrant, pastel rainbowy color, I love this color, this feeling here, now we're pulled more into an introspective kind of inside feeling is what I'm getting here. And this figure is now standing outside what appears to be like a structure, a church, maybe a mansion, something, in the moonlight. So again, reflecting that idea of shadows and the darkness, which suits the seven pretty well, since the Seven of Swords is, you know, doing, to me, it's doing things that by any means necessary. It's a bit of a heavy energy, of course, but here we have the Eight of Swords. Imagery remains pretty much the same. A little bit darker here. Still a very beautiful card. I like this Eight of Swords. Nine of Swords. Nine of Swords has been updated slightly with a flipped image, and there is a little bit more of the mysterious fog kind of popping up here, billowing up. But other than that, similar card. Very beautiful. The Ten of Swords. Now this one, it has quickly become one of my favorite depictions of the Ten of Swords in any tarot deck. I don't know why this feels so, honestly, I feel like it feels hopeful. I don't know if that's the right way to describe it. So Ten of Swords, traditional imagery here. We have the figure with the 10 swords at their back. So just really that feeling of despair deep down, that's it, I've hit rock bottom. However, the Ten of Swords in the Shadow Work edition, very interestingly enough, it feels hopeful to me because there is this kind of, you know, 10 here, which feels like all the swords, everything has just come down. That's it. You've hit the rock bottom. That's it. That's done and over with. Now it's time to get back up and get back into the adventure of it all. Get back into making your way through the challenge again. You can make your way through it, and now you have 10 swords to kind of pick up from there. Don't know if that made sense, but yes. So major difference. Really love this update to the 10 of Swords. Page of Swords. All right, so the page does appear to remain the same. We've just got a little bit different color here. Very pretty card. I like that one. I like all the cards. Knight of Swords, same thing, interestingly. It remains pretty much the same. We've got same kind of imagery. The colors are a little bit darker, and that's pretty much it. Moving on. We have the Queen of Swords, and the Queen has been mirror image flipped. And we have some added roses here. Very pretty. And finally, the King of Swords, which also has been flipped. And it looks like this imagery is a little bit more leaning into the shadowy aspect. This one, we've got a few leaves here, kind of coming out from what's more visible, the decoration of the armor. However, this one feels a little bit more cloudy, more mystical, if you want to call it that, but definitely with this little kind of plume of clouds coming out from there. But yeah, overall, it is a very similar card. So yeah. All right, my friends, so that is the end of the flip comparison decks of the Moonchild Tarot. I hope you enjoyed checking out these cards. Please don't mind my commentary. I ramble and I just kind of go off on tangents. I hope you were able to enjoy regardless of my blabbering. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think about these two decks. Which one do you feel aligns with you more? Which one do you feel you'd be more inclined to use? yeah, just let me know your opinion. What do you think about the Moonchild Tarot? So we have the original Moonlight edition and the Shadowwork edition. So yeah, again, both of these decks are by Danielle Noel, and the link to purchase will be included in the description below. I do not earn commissions from that one. It's just I want to share the link with you if you want to get these decks. So just a heads up. But yeah, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next video. So until next time, take care, and we'll see you again soon.